got to piggyback. Yesterday in class, I said, we were doing our growing older interviews and presentations and everything. I said, but wait, I said, I got to ask y'all something, because it came up a few times this last week. And I said, when we went to school, and we're the same age, whatever, I said, but if somebody, I said, nobody really talked about like anything. We didn't, if it wasn't in your family or you didn't go to church or it wasn't, nobody knew, and it wasn't like we go, oh, they're gay, or, oh, they're a mixed couple, or, oh, we just didn't, or they're Pentecostal and they're Catholic. We didn't talk about it. They always said, don't put your business on the streets.
Absolutely.
So on the flip side, it's like, oh, everybody talks about everything. Everybody's good. Everybody, oh, you're gay, you're straight, you're purple, you're green. But they keep telling me, they go, it is worse. They said, we're the racists. We're the homophobes. We're the ones. They go, we talk about everybody. We are judged by everybody. So it's not that it is being accepted, because that's where I was kind of like, but aren't y'all open? Like, isn't this out? They go, well, but we're horrible to each other.
Good.
I go, why? Like, what then? They said, it's worse. They said, it is terrible. I go, because I literally think like everybody goes, oh, yogas are this. I'm like, but we're not. Like, I don't care. They said, all the high schools, everything, they said, you can't be this here. You can't be that there. If you're, and these are my students telling me this. And I'm just going, but I thought y'all were open and acceptable and TikTok and this. And
so
they said, but not in real life. They say in real life, it's almost worse, more cliquey. Because I was kind of like in middle school, you kind of get, I said, in high school, you kind of find your people who cares. And they're like, but it's not.
Yeah. I think it is the cliquey. It is more cliquey now, like, so if they're, like you said, like the misfits, they're over here and the odd ones are and then everyone is judging everybody else and no one can like cross over. Like I know when I was in school, I was kind of friends with everybody. I was friends with like the jocks, the Hispanics, the blacks. I was kind of friends with that little bit of everybody and that was acceptable. But now apparently it is very much more like, you stay in your little cliques.
Yeah. It's that if you hang with, people of color, well, then you think you're that. Or if you hang with people that are same sex, then you're
right.
Well, first of all, don't put my name in your mouth. Don't tell me what I'm thinking or what I'm feeling. Mm-hmm. Why is that hurting you? And that's what I keep going to. Why are you so afraid?
But you know what the thing about it is, and that's a great question. Mm-hmm. Why is it hurting you? And the thing is, again, they want some sense of belonging, right? So I've seen it where you're willing to abandon a certain group of people because you don't want other people to know that you are hanging out with this group or you are a part of this group or you like this group. And, so that's wow.
So where do you think that comes from? Where do you think that like that shift has happened?
I just think that, especially with teenagers, they are so concerned with what everybody thinks about them. Let me change that. They are so concerned with what their non-friends and friends are saying about them. Because I don't really think they care about what their parents are thinking about them.
Right.
Because they are so concerned with the friends, because I've even had teenagers tell me, and I was used to work at an elementary school as a school social worker. And I've had like 5th and 6th graders tell me, oh, my friend told me to just, I should just go jump off a bridge and die. Mm-hmm. And it's like, are you going to do, like, I'm looking at them like, okay, if my friend told me that, I'd be like, well, why don't you go jump off a bridge and die first? But they hold that to heart and they start to internalize that because what their friends say is golden.
And that slips off their tongue so easily too, is like, why don't you go die? Like this one thing that my daughter told me that like she's heard so many times is that person, just go die or just go jump off, like go do. And I'm just like, wow, like I don't ever remember that coming through my head as a kid, like telling somebody that.
But I'm telling you guys, because if we go into Eric Erickson's psychosocial development, that is where they learn, and their biggest is peers right then.
Absolutely.
Well, they were shut down. They couldn't talk to anybody. They couldn't, and even just listen to their language. When they say my friend, I go friend.
That's why I said
I stop from right there and I just go define friend.
Please do.
And because they don't, and I'm telling you, they don't know. They really don't. And that's the sad part, is that they don't really know. I've had so many of my teenagers go, Robert, nobody talks to me like you do. I don't have anybody to talk to about this because I don't want people to look at me.
That's right. That's right.
And I said, and there you go. I said, so I'm very, in my classes, I tell them all the time, and I said, we're in no judgment here. I said, but we have to talk about it. We have to talk about it. Y'all have to understand how to navigate this. Be who you are, but you got to learn. And then,
but here's the thing. You're saying talk about it to the right people, because if they're talking about it with just like their little clique and their friends and stuff, either they're going to be given really negative or misguided information, or they're going to be taking everything that they say to heart, and that's like the end all be all of what they think. So it's like, yes, talk about it. We need to have these conversations, but we also need to make sure it's in a good space and with the right people.
Well, that's what I was going to go next. Is that, remember, we have been, saying we want to get into the school system. You guys know I'm in education.
Yes.
This summer, I want to reach out to DPS or whoever, because we're in Brevard, but so that we can have parent forums, we can have teacher forums, we can have student forums, because there's so many things and there's so many this, well, that and that. Have a protocol set in place.
Absolutely.
I tell students all the time, I said, you shouldn't even have to, I appreciate that, but you know what you do? Okay, I'm going to hear you and we're going to walk over here. And I'm going to give you to somebody that can handle it.
Right, because there's such a disconnect.
Yes.
There's such a disconnect between the school, the parent, the student. There's such a disconnect.
But also students, they're trying to do things that they're not equipped to do. And next thing you know, they're coming in here going, I can't handle this. And I go, why would you even be put in that position?
But you know what? That's a good point you just made too. Because there are a lot of teens that are taking on parental roles. They're having to be the parent in their house. So they can't be a kid. They can't hang out with friends. They can't be 12, 13 years old because they are being the parent, and the parent is right there in the home, but they're still having to do, especially if they have siblings, younger siblings, they're doing it. And I know this because, I've worked with teens who have said, hey, I have to get up and take care of my siblings. I have to do this and still get myself to school. And then sometimes, because I dealt with truancy in the schools, and it's like, why aren't you in school? Well, nobody woke me up, or we don't have an alarm clock, or we don't have a way to get there. So there's a lot of different things, or a lot of risk factors that are at play to where teens, they just can't be who they want to be because they're so busy being everybody else.
Right. Bringing that too is like, okay, they're doing all this at, 12, 13 up to whenever they're out of the house. How has that impacted them when they're older? Well, that can be really great and positive because it shows them how to be responsible early on. Like there are some good things about being that responsible, being an older sibling and taking care of things. But at the same time, sometimes that can have an opposite effect, which is all I ever did was take care of everybody else. Either they're going to be like that again and want to take care of their spouse or whoever else, or they're going to be like, you know what, screw everybody else. And I'm going to go and party now. Now I'm going to be, drinking and driving and doing all this stuff that they didn't get to experience when they were younger. So it really, teens is such an influential time period, and I always say children can be like aliens from the age of 11, 12 to 16. They're different humans because they're figuring it out. They're, hormones, they're figuring out who they want to be and getting influenced by all this stuff. And then they kind of start to come back around when they're around 17, 18. They start to be human again. I know. Then you're like, oh, you're my child. I remember you. But
y'all pay attention because y'all heard that in class. Same thing. I literally have a graph and I showed it with one of my beautiful babies. She's brilliant, super, super smart, but would literally come in and be like, why am I being so ugly to my parents? What? I mean, we're talking, this girl is, I literally showed her a picture. I said, here's your frontal lobe. It's in the toilet.
It is definitely in the toilet.
And she literally, but it was that's all she needed. She goes, is that what am I projecting? So I don't have control of my emotions and I'm not making, she literally kept, and I said, bingo, you're healed, move on. But that's what I'm saying. When we start talking about it, I said, a lot of times they don't know. And that's why I say, even with that, I show them this why.
Yeah, Lord forbid if you're a boy.
Oh my gosh. Because you only got enough blood to operate 1 minute at a time. That's all I got to say. Yes. But that's what I'm saying. I think sometimes too, they want somebody to just say, you're okay.
Yeah, absolutely.
You're okay. Yeah, this sucks. This weird. And guess what? You're going to mess up again. but you're okay.
Yeah.
But you also have to be careful.